Hello, 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 hello. Good morning if you're watching this in the morning. It is Tuesday, it is 11 a.m., so time to go live and teach something fun about money. And today I'm going to teach something that I think is a lot of fun. It's not something that people generally think of when they think about money and the money numbers that they need to know. It's something that I like to call dreamcasting. I don't know if I came up with it or if I heard it somewhere. It doesn't matter. That's what I like to call it. And dreamcasting is the process of getting all of your dreams, your desires, your wishes onto paper, unedited, and then being able to bring that list up for closer examination. Because a lot of times what we do is we dream these big, broad ideas, but then we don't really figure out what would it actually take to achieve that dream? What would it take to get that desire? So that's what we're going to talk about today is dream casting and examining what it is we really want out of life so that we can come up with actionable steps to make those things happen. If you are tuning in and you have no idea who I am, which is likely, my name is Brittany Ross. I am a homeschooling mom, wife, certified financial coach. I'm a writer and an artist. I own and operate an e-commerce business with my husband in rural Ohio, and I have paid off over $170,000 in debt, never making a six-figure income. There's a lot of people who do big things with money, but they have big incomes, and I like to find creative solutions. So that's who I am. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Let's talk a little bit, gotta touch my hair a lot. Let's talk a little bit about dream casting and what is that? What does it look like? So when was the last time that you really just sat down and let yourself dream? And I mean in like that unedited way where like you just let yourself go and you don't think about all the ways it's not going to happen or how it's really irresponsible or how there are other things you should be doing. These are the things that usually stop me from doing this is oh well, there's laundry that needs done, there's dishes that needs done, I still need to write that blog post, oh yeah, and I need to get that inventory order in. But let's just take a little bit of time and allow ourselves the room to dream, to really get in touch with our desires. And so the way we want to do this, like I said, we're not going to edit this list. So you're going to grab a sheet of paper and a pencil or a pen. I like to use brightly colored markers. That's my thing. I like to just do stuff in different colors. But we're not going to edit as we go. It doesn't matter how big, how far reaching, how ridiculous the dream may feel, or how we might perceive others will think it feels. This is for you. So what do you dream in these three categories? This will help you break it down even further. What do you dream of having? What do you dream of doing? And what do you dream of being? So another little caveat that I want to throw in here is these are your dreams. Your dreams. Not your mom's, not your sister's, not your best friend's, not society's, your dreams. And not all dreams have to be world-changing. They don't need to be noble. If you want the frickin' Tesla, write it down. It's okay to want material things as long as you're not trying to exploit human beings to obtain those things, right? Like we want to be mindful and conscious of what we're doing, but so often we're told that maybe we should feel guilty or shameful about the things that we want. If you want a Tesla, you want a Tesla. It's okay. It's okay. So what do you dream of having? And what do I mean there? So like I said, it could be a certain car. It could be What neighborhood do you dream of living in? Is there a neighborhood in your town that when you drive through it or you walk through it, you're like, oh, here is where I want to be? Or maybe it's not, one of those big purchases. Maybe it's that you really want the new laptop that's going to come with, the extra storage and the speed for your business, but your laptop works just fine. Or maybe it's something that feels really extravagant, like a new piece of art for your office, or maybe it is the pair of boots or the handbag that you were like, oh, I would never spend that much. What do you dream of having? And then what do you dream of doing? Do you dream about traveling the world? Do you dream about, maybe it's not traveling the world, maybe it's that you want to camp at all the national parks, because I'm on a kick where I want to go to all the national parks in my life. Maybe you want to learn ballroom dancing. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Maybe you want to learn how to garden. What do you dream of doing? And then what do you dream of being? So do you dream of being a fantastic cook? Do you dream of being fluent in another language? What is the dream? What is I am really having trouble with words here lately. When you envision your future self, who is she? Okay? Now, if you're still feeling stuck, because the goal here is to come up with 2 or 3 ideas, dreams, desires for each of these categories. Because we're going to do, Dreamcasting is casting this broad net, like a fishing net, and then you're going to reel all those dreams in, and we're going to start looking through them and see what they are and see which ones you really want. Okay? So 2 to 3 dreams for each of these would be ideal. Maybe you come up with 6 or 7. I don't know, maybe you're a dreamer. But if you're still feeling blocked, try some questions. So if you had $50 million in the bank, which I think we all agree is enough money. Like if you've got $50 million in the bank, you're probably set for life. And if you're not, we should probably talk. If you had $50 million in the bank, how would you spend your time? What would you do? What would you be excited to wake up to each morning? And maybe you need to think of it like this, because a lot of times it's easier. We've all been conditioned, especially us women, we've been conditioned to focus on what we don't like or what we fear or what needs to be changed. So if you find those kind of thoughts coming up, what's the opposite? So if there's something that you dislike or fear, what's the opposite of that? And then maybe this is another way that can help you look at, not maybe, this is another way that will help you look at this. Think of it in like these little one-off chunks. Where's one place you want to visit? What is one thing you want to do before you die? What's one thing you enjoy doing? And what is one thing you'd enjoy doing daily or weekly or monthly? What is one thing you've always wanted to learn? Okay, so these are some of this is the line of questioning that will help you dig a little bit deeper into what is it you want, what is it you desire, and what is it you dream of most. And I know we've been conditioned that we're not supposed to be dreaming, especially as adults, right? How many of you got in trouble for daydreaming as a kid? No, a lot of us. A lot of us were dreamers, and a lot of us were told that our dreams were unrealistic and we should get our heads out of the clouds, right? And if that was you, you've got permission to dream again. Do you love my new mug? Oh my God, I got it today. It's from Christy Summers' Earthen Kiln. Summers Earthen Kiln. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. And I'm going to drink out of it year round, not just for Halloween. Okay. So when you've completed this exercise, if you're watching this video live, it's going to be kind of hard to do it. But if you're watching the replay, then I encourage you to go ahead and just pause it right here. Allow yourself 20 minutes. Get yourself a nice hot beverage. And by the time it has cooled completely down, you will be done with this activity. But go ahead and give yourself the time to get these dreams on paper. And then once that is done, we're going to dig in. We're going to figure out, what do these specific dreams cost? And in order to do that, we need to figure out what are the steps we're going to take to achieve these dreams. And so what I want you to do is grab at least one from each category. So when you're going down through, you're going to notice certain dreams and certain desires kind of sort of jump off the page at you. Notice which ones are lighting you up. When you're reading down through them, notice which ones really, I don't know, feel dreamy. Like, yes, that's what I want. Those are the ones I want to focus on. So you're going to grab one from each category that really light you up, okay? And then we need to figure out, what is it going to take to achieve this desire, to turn this desire into a reality? So let's use the example. I like to use the example of becoming a fantastic cook. You want to be a marvelous cook. What does that mean? Have you actually defined, what does that mean? So to me, someone is a good cook if they can host a dinner party for, say, 6 people with no help. Maybe you consider it, you're a good cook if your family trusts you to host the holiday dinner with no help, right? You know what I'm talking about. That means you're a good cook. I can proudly say I have crossed that threshold. Okay, so if what it means to be a good cook is that you can host a dinner party, what is that gonna take? So it could be you need cooking lessons. Now, I learned how to cook from Food Network. There are plenty of YouTube tutorials, and Food Network has an app, and there are lots of apps that'll teach you how to cook. But maybe it means you take actual, if we're not in COVID, actual cooking lessons. Do you have the equipment to host this dinner party? Maybe you need a new knife. Maybe you need a nice big pot or a pan. You're going to need to decide, well, what's going to be the signature meal that you're going to host this party with? What are those ingredients? So these are the types of things. If we define being a good cook as being able to host a dinner party, these are the actions, the physical steps someone can take to meet that requirement, to make that dream come true. So what does that cost? Well, you can sit and think about it all day, but I'll tell you what, the internet has answers. The internet will tell you how much all of these things cost. So if we just go in and we look up beginner cooking classes, here in Central Ohio, in Columbus, they cost about $60 a person. So maybe you decide that there's a series and it's 6 classes. It's going to cost you $360 spread out over time to learn how to become a good cook. And then you can go and look up that new pot and pan and the chef's knife that you need. And maybe that's another $169. And the ingredients for that dinner for 6, after you've done your cooking classes and you've bought your equipment, maybe you need to drop $100 on some ingredients. Your friends are going to bring dessert and wine. And you just went from dreaming about being a good cook to being a good cook. And you'll get better. It's not about perfection. It's just, what are the steps you need to take? And what do they cost? Because I'll tell you what, I've spent a lot of time with people, and we do a lot of talking about what we want. But that next step of figuring out how to get it, we kind of fall short. And I don't know why. I'm going to keep digging into where that disconnect happens, but this is how it works. I want this, and here are the steps to get there, okay? So we used a really simple example, right? The dream of being a new cook. If you want to be fluent in a new language, do you need to, Duolingo's free. Do you need to do that? Do you need to hire a language coach? Do you need to do some sort of, maybe you want to like really dive in, and maybe you have the money to fly to Mexico City and stay in like an immersion house. I don't know what it is, but I can tell you, someone's achieved the exact dream you want to achieve, and the steps are out there. But we have to take the time to dig in and think about it. right? Instead of just saying what we want, we have to really dig in and focus on how can we get there. Okay, so what about those big goals? You know, the big lofty dreams, the ones where you're like, okay, Brittany, great, you want to be a good cook, and that took 3 whole steps. Woo! I hear you. I hear you. What about the big ones? What about the I want to live in that other neighborhood and I'm not quite sure all the steps to get there? I want to quit my job and start my business. I want to take my side hustle and make it my full-time hustle. What I don't like the word hustle, but you know what I mean. What about the loftier goals? What if I don't know all the steps? You're not going to. You can't know all of the steps for the bigger, loftier goals. So when it comes to the bold dreams, the long-term things, the goals that you know are going to take a little bit longer, it is less important to know all the steps, because I'll tell you what, they're going to change. You could have them all mapped out and they're going to change. It's more important that you know what's one step that I could do now. What's 2 steps? And so what happens is the bigger the dream, the foggier the path, right? The further across the country you need to drive, the more obstacles can pop up. Like you might say, I'm going to drive from Ohio to California and here's my route. But as you're driving across the state, there's an accident and now your path is blocked and you need to reroute. Okay? That's how we need to think about these big loftier goals. It's like driving cross country. You can plan the whole thing out, but at the end of the day, that might not be the path you take. What's more important is knowing what path do you need to take right now. And guess what? Just like on a map, there's more than one right way to go. If you want to go from Ohio to California, there's a direct route, or you could meander. It's okay. There's multiple ways to get there. You just need to figure out one step to do now. And as you take those steps, the next steps will become clearer. You will gain that clarity through action, because clarity is nearly impossible to find without some sort of action. Okay? So what could you do if one of your goals is a bigger multi-step, like, Brittany, I think this might take 2 years. Okay. Some are going to take 2 years. Some dreams might take a decade. The time's going to pass. Whether you do anything about it or not, time is going to march on. So you might as well try and do something about it. So I'm going to use an example. This was a real example. I wanted to walk away from my job. At the time, I wanted to walk away from every job that I had. I feel like they were always management or sales jobs. And then at my last one, I stepped out of management and sales and went into a cubicle for an insurance company. So if your house, like say a pipe broke in your house and it flooded with water, I'm the person you would talk to. And you would tell me about what was going on and I'd send you checks. So let's say that's your goal too. And I know for a lot of you, that is the ultimate goal, is to have your own schedule and be your own boss. Let me take a sip of coffee. So in order to achieve this goal, I had no idea what all the steps were going to be, but I did know that there needed to be money in the bank in order for me to feel comfortable to take that kind of a leap. So let's say for you that you want to quit your job and you want to you've got a side hustle, it makes some money, and you feel like it could make a full-time income, but you don't have any savings and you're really uneasy about making that switch. I hear you. I feel you. So let's say that the goal, the next right thing that you can do is to start putting money in the bank. And you've landed on 4 months, that if you had 4 months of living expenses in the bank, you would feel comfortable taking that risk. Because anytime that you're making a change like that from employment to self-employment, there's a risk, right? So 4 months of living expenses, that's now the dream. That's like a pit stop on the way to the dream. So now you have to figure out, well, how do I do that? So you've got your figure, and when you start figuring out that, maybe it's $12,000 or more, and you're like, oh, I don't know how to get $12,000 right now. But you do figure out that the next step you could take is looking at your expenses. And you know that there are expenses on there that you're not really using and that you don't need. And so you can start making cuts there, because the easiest way to save money is to not spend it in the first place. So your first step as you've broken down your goal, your first step is, I'm going to look at my expenses and see what I can cut. Maybe you find a few $100. Maybe the next step is cleaning out your closets. And now I can't resell my clothes because I buy a lot of generic stuff that I'm not a fashionista. I don't know labels. It's just not me. But maybe it's you. Maybe you've got labels that are worth lots of money on Poshmark hanging out in your closet right now. And so maybe your next step towards getting 4 months of living expenses is, hey, I'm going to go through my closet. I'm going to find the stuff that I no longer need, that I no longer want, stuff that doesn't fit me, stuff that it never felt right. Maybe there was something itchy, and you sell them. You get another lump sum of money to put into your living expenses. And then maybe that leads you to focusing more on your side hustle and how to increase income. Maybe you look at gaps in your offerings. Maybe you decide you're going to start teaching classes online on Facebook. Let me tell you, you can do it. Maybe you do both. The point is, you don't need to know all of those things right now. You just need to go, what can I do? What is one thing? What is one thing I can do right now? And that will lead you towards seeing more opportunity. And I just lost my train of thought. That's what happens when you go live. Sometimes you lose your train of thought. But anyway, that's how I look at these loftier goals, these big, bold visions that you have for your life. We've got to just take them one step at a time, because I don't know how you're going to get there, and neither do you. And that's okay. That's normal. We just need one thing to do, and then a next, and then a next. Okay. So that's dreamcasting, guys. That's it. You basically take the dreams. You gotta cast that big broad net first. Reel those dreams in. Start looking through and seeing which ones really light you up, because those are the ones you're probably going to want to move forward on. And then you have to do the research to figure out what would it actually take. Because a lot of dreams you could make happen right now. Like, you don't need big changes in your life. Maybe you just need to sell a few things and then go buy the boots. I don't know what it is going to be for you. But we all have dreams, wants, and desires in this life, and it is okay to want more. We just need to be mindful about it. All right? Hit me up with any questions that you have. Drop them in the comments. If you are watching the replay, I would love if you would share one of your dreams with me. Okay? Please. I love dreamers. You guys are the best. You really are. And one thing that I really love about this process is it changes how your brain is going to work on the problem. So often our brain just immediately, we give our brain the answer. We tell our brain, this is what I want, but I can't afford it. And then your brain goes, I guess we're done here. Nothing to see, nothing to figure out. Problem solved. What I want you to do is give your brain the problem. Here's the one. Now what? What's next? How do I get it? Give your brain a problem to solve. Stop giving it answers. Maybe you can't come. Maybe for some of these dreams, you're like, Brittany, I don't know. Honest to God, I don't know the first step. Write it down. Let it ruminate. Sleep on it. There's a reason that we sleep on things. Let your unconscious mind work on it and see what happens. Because I'll tell you what, when you give your brain a problem to work on, instead of just giving it the answer, what ultimately can end up happening is when you're out in the world in your day-to-day life, something will happen and your brain, because you gave it a problem, will go, there it is. There's what I've been looking for. It's going to see the opportunity. But if you just tell it, we can't afford that, that's it. Problem solved. Nothing to see here. Brain moves on. So give it that problem. Okay. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Again, if you're watching this anywhere other than Facebook, that is where I go live and teach and answer questions and work, one-on-one, not really one-on-one, where I work with you guys. So if you want to tune in live, join me on Facebook, Brittany Ross, Money Mentor. What's the @ I am Brittany on Facebook. Join me there. I would love it. I would love to see you there. I would love to answer your questions. If you have a specific money question, something that's really just nagging at you, DM me. DM me and let me help with it. All right. I feel like my brain isn't working. It's felt foggy for a few days now. So again, thanks for hanging out with me. Take care. I love you guys. Bye.